Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jeffrey Pong, and I'm here from the University of Toronto, Mississauga. And I want to talk to you guys about evolution.
Evolution is the biological change over time, based on the relationship between living things and their environment. It occurs physically and/or genetically in order to enable survival. Evolution occurs in every aspect of life. Science has proven that species of organisms lived a million years ago and evolved over a period of time to modern organisms. Survival of the fittest is the natural selection in which organisms best adapted are able to survive in a particular place at a particular time. Lions are able to survive in a jungle than antelopes because they are best adapted in the jungle. In a university of business, an accounting class contains 27 students. However, only 2 of the students can adapt to the teaching style of that teacher for 4 years. These 2 students would be the fittest to survive in that class for 4 years. Birds have feathers of light. Chameleons change in color to prevent predators. Giraffes have long necks to reach food. This is termed as adaptation. Species of the same organism adapt differently at a particular place or places at a particular time. Cats in North America have much more fur than those in Africa due to adaptation. In a day-by-day life, the workplaces of Africa do not regard punctuality as a key in business. However, in North America, punctuality is regarded as one of the keys in making a business. This is why people from Africa come to North America and must adapt to the situations over here.
Mutation is the change in genetic information of an organism. There are 3 types of mutation, one of which is the neutral mutation that does not cause any harm or benefit to an individual. Example is a situation where 2 brown-eyed parents produce a blue-eyed offspring. There is no disadvantage or advantage. Another one of which is the beneficial mutation, which is the mutation that has a positive effect on an individual. Example is the CCR5, a protein on chromosome 3 that helps prevent HIV/AIDS in some individuals. The last mutation, which is the harmful mutation, causes a negative effect to an individual as its name suggests. Example is the Turner syndrome that makes females impotent.
Staphylococcus aureus is a bacteria that is resistant to penicillin. The use of penicillin to eradicate Staphylococcus does not work anymore due to the fact that Staphylococcus aureus has now become resistant to this antibiotic. The Staphylococcus aureus would rather survive in this penicillin and produce more offsprings or bacteria.
Natural selection is a process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offspring. In the savannah, elephants use their trunk to reach food from the leaves of the trees. If the trees are big, elephants with medium trunks are used to survive. This is stabilizing selection. If the trees are tall, nature plants with tall or longer trunks are best to survive. This is directional selection. If the trees in the savanna are only tall or and short trees, the elephants with longer and shorter trunks are the best to survive. Elephants with the medium trunks might not survive. This is the distributive selection. Artificial selection is the breeding of plants and animals to produce desirable traits. Domestication is the process of taming an animal and keeping it as a pet or cultivating plants for food. Another name for artificial selection is selective or direct breeding.
Evolution itself had its foundation laid by some scientists before Charles Darwin drew hypotheses. These scientists were George Cuvier, who contributed to evolution by proving that life existed from simple to complex with his idea of comparing living organisms to fossils. He also brought up the theory of catastrophism, which stated that global catastrophes such as flood caused the widespread of extinctions of species. Another scientist who contributed solely to the evolution was James Hutton, who was a Scottish naturalist and a zoologist. He said that evolution was gradual but not sudden, and was seconded by Charles Lyell with his book Principles of Geology. Charles Lyell was also a British geologist, and he brought up the theory of uniformitarianism, which stated that the Earth's surface has changed and continues to change through similar, uniform and gradual process, and will make evolution gradual. The third scientist, Jean-Baptiste Lamarck, also brought up a theory of acquired characteristics, which included the principles of use and disuse and inheritance of acquired characteristics, which also helped Darwin bring up evolution. Evolutionary change without selection is when the genetic makeup of a population changes by chance. It is also known as the genetic drift. The types of genetic drift are the bottleneck effect and the founder effect.
Divergent evolution first. So in divergent evolution, two or more distinct species share a common ancestor from which they both diverge. A common example is the modern elephant and the woolly mammoth. They share a common ancestor and yet evolved into two different species. Another example is the dog, the wolf, and the fox. Again, they share a common ancestor yet evolved independently, right? They all diverge from a common ancestor. Now let's contrast this with convergent evolution. In convergent evolution, two or more distinct species share traits not due to a common ancestor. So let's take birds, bats, and butterflies, for example. All have wings that allow them to fly, but they don't share a common ancestor with wings. So each one evolved to have wings independently.
Evolutionary change without selection is when the genetic makeup of a population changes by chance. It is also known as the genetic drift. The types of genetic drift are the bottleneck effect and the founder effect. Bipedalism occurred as a result of hominoids spending less time under trees. It has helped Ghanaians from Africa perform their ritual for the dead. That is, through bipedalism, coffins have been made to bury the dead. Bipedalism, in terms of culture, has helped Ghanaians perform their dance during cultural festivals. That is, through bipedalism, some Ghanaians can dance in front of the kings. Bipedalism has also
of life into a way to explain it. So this is a celebration of Darwin's greatness in the form of a rap. Some would say a debasement. I would say be patient. Just think of this as a manifestation of the evolutionary equation, as a recapitulation of life, a reenactment. So how do you go from amoebas to rappers? You open The Origin of Species and read its chapters. The first chapter is about the impact of people's actions on farm animals, pets, and domestic crops. Where did they come from? From original stocks of wild animals and plants which were selected and crossed for the best properties and thus became the effect of their cause. But of course, not every selection was conscious. Still, even if breeders in ancient Egypt couldn't see this and had no idea how to rework the features of a species of sheep or increase the sweetness of the peaches every season, when they chose to seed it or to feed it or to breed it or to weed it out and delete it because they didn't see it as needed, whether the preferences in question were for bigger chicken breasts or whippets with a thinner midsection, or if it was just an inner predilection to pick the best in any mixed collection, that's artificial selection. Artificial selection, it starts with a question. How do people ever get cows, chickens, or pigs, and other animals and plants that act so domestic? We took them from the wild and we bred them, Artificial selection, it starts with a question. How do people ever get cows, chickens, or pigs, and other animals and plants that act so domestic? We took them from the wild and we bred them, But there's nothing artificial about domestication. Ant colonies keep domestic aphids. It's just an arrangement where one hand washes the other. We protect the cow and the cow offers the udder. And even if there's never a conscious discussion, if our little selections and little preferences...
Man, this is Jeffrey. I thank you for watching my video. I hope you liked it.